So in today's web dev tip, we're going to take a look at another JavaScript Edabit coding challenge, and this one is all about correcting syntax errors that are in a piece of existing code. Now, this challenge was quite simple, and there is only actually one mistake in the actual original source code, so I've gone in and actually made a few more mistakes, and we're going to work through those together. But this is the actual challenge, and you can see there's supposed to be a function called squared, which is supposed to return the square of a number by multiplying it by itself. So it's only actually the function name that was misspelt, so none of the tests would run, so it's quite simple to solve this one. So I've made this a little bit more challenging for the tutorial and made a few more syntax errors, a lot of which you probably would be not making within your code editor, because a lot of these will be caught. But it's quite good to read through some code without a code editor and see if you can identify any mistakes. So let's have a look at the code. So as you can see, the function name is misspelt, and we need to start working through and work out what is misspelt or what syntax errors are inside of this function in order to get the tests to run. Now we could cheat a little bit and actually run the tests, and we'll get some clues as to what is wrong in this, but hopefully some of these should be pretty obvious. So take a look through and see if you can see anything, and I'm going to start going through each of the problems that I introduced. So let's first of all fix the squared function name, because that's the main problem that they introduced in the code. And you'll probably notice as well they're using the function keyword to create the function, which I actually removed the I from that. And you can see as well we're starting to get some syntax highlighting in there as well, so things are starting to look a little bit better. Now, the other thing I introduced was we've created an arrow function here, but you can't use the arrow function syntax along with the function keyword, so we need to pick one basically. So I'm going to restore what we had originally and remove the arrow syntax from here, and we're getting a traditional function back. So with a traditional function keyword, we need to have parentheses straight after the function name, and any arguments that are passed in need to be inside of those parentheses. So another thing they did do here, I guess, is to name the function argument as B, and then it's not being used inside of the actual function. It's actually A. So we can fix that by changing the name of the argument here back to A. And there are a few other syntax errors here that we still need to fix. And the first is that we don't have any closing curly braces. So we've opened the function block here, but it doesn't actually close anywhere further down the line. So that should be something that, again, your code editor, so Visual Studio Code or similar, will be able to pick up for you. So let's just close that down here. And now we're starting to look a little bit more like a function. There's one other thing which is a major problem, and that is this return statement here. And it looks okay, just at first glance. We're just going to return A multiplied by A. And syntactically the code is okay, but what happens if we actually run the code? We'll get some errors because the return statement needs to have the expression that it's returning on the same line. So you'll see here that in the tests, we just keep getting undefined because this line will return and stop the rest of the function from running, and this value will never be evaluated. So we just need to pop that onto the line above, so A multiplied by A. And if you're wondering, the white space doesn't actually matter, so we can have these arguments that have been multiplied together right next to each other, like this, or we can have spaces in between them, that's fine. And technically, you should also have a semicolon at the end. Now, JavaScript will let you get away with this. It will let you miss out a semicolon from the end of the line, and sometimes that's useful, but for good practice, we should always put a semicolon when we've finished our statement on a particular line. So that's the function fixed, and if we run the tests, they should all pass this time. And you can see we've got the result over here with all of the tests passing. And of course, we could improve this by using an arrow function and putting this on one line if we wanted to. So now we've got our squared function fixed and all the tests passing. So hopefully you found that useful to look through some code and try and identify any syntax errors, especially ones that aren't being picked up by your own code editor. So that's it for this tutorial. Make sure you stay tuned for more web dev tips.